大家好，我是 Olive Branch 的 Alan. So I've been watching and reading your messages that you've been leaving. Thank you very much for the engagement. And the messages about me speaking in English, yes, I really can't speak Chinese that well, so I do apologize. Especially the words and the topic that I'll be discussing, it's a bit too technical. So please bear with me. So a lot of you guys are probably wondering if you should be counting calories to lose body fat. You see a lot of people doing it. A lot of restaurants are also posting the number of calories per each dish. And if you really want to lose, or you're serious about losing body fat, that you should be counting calories. I'm here to tell you whether that is actually effective or it's a myth. So the first thing that you need to understand is the definition of the word calorie. So calories with a small c is basically a unit of measure of energy. So when they actually burn up food in a laboratory, they use a fire to burn it, and that releases heat energy that warms up water around it, 1 degree Celsius. 1 gram of water, 1 degree Celsius is 1 calorie. Sometimes in the labels, you'll see KCAL, kilocalorie. And that's actually what most nutritional labels will use, is the kilocalorie. And that's 1 kilogram of water going up 1 degree Celsius. That's 1 kilocalorie. So how do they actually calculate a calorie in food? Well, they actually used a device called a bomb calorimeter, which is actually an industrial tool. And they actually used coal, and they would burn up the coal to heat up water to determine how combustible or how efficient certain coals were to give off energy. And they actually use the same device for food. So if you think about it, all the food calories in labels, they actually just burn it up in this bomb calorimeter to determine how much heat it produces, to determine the number of calories you should be eating, which makes no sense to me, right? Why would you burn up food in your body to produce heat energy to determine if you're going to gain fat or not? There's a new system called the Atwater system. And you don't really need to know the details, except that the person who developed it used to work for the USDA, the United States Department of Agriculture. And he himself actually said that it is highly imprecise and inaccurate. So there's really no real good way of measuring calories in food. So measuring how much calories you eat and then determining how many calories you burn in your exercise based on these devices really is not an effective system for you. So a lot of the people who say or focus on calorie counting, they do say a calorie is a calorie, and then they refer to Newton's first law of thermodynamics, which basically means energy in has to equal to energy out in a contained system. And that's not incorrect. It's just not helpful to determine whether your body will store this type of food, whatever you're eating, as fat, or you actually will burn it for energy. And that's because it really depends on what type of food you're eating, because then that will turn on different switches in your body, in your hormones, that will actually tell your body to burn it as fuel or to store it as extra energy for later. And that's the key, guys. It's hormonal control. Your hormones will determine what your body will do with that calorie. Either you excrete it out in your waste, you store it as energy for later use, or you use it right away. So that's why it always depends on what you eat and not how much of something you eat. Okay, so here's an example. Let's just say you've calculated your calorie limit. Every day you should have no more than 2,000 calories, kilocalories. And you, for whatever reason, decide to have 100 calories more of ice cream. Your body will probably convert that as fat, and you will gain that as body fat. Whereas if you had 100 grams of kilocalories above your 2,000 limit of, let's say, spinach, then your body actually won't turn that into body fat. And the reason is because in ice cream, it's mostly sugar, sucrose, and your body is highly sensitive to breaking that down and causing inflammation in the body and storing that fructose and that glucose together as body fat. That's what your body is trained to do. Your insulin will take care of that for you. But if you have spinach, it has very, very little glucose and practically no fructose. So a lot of that is mostly fiber. And so that energy that you eat will mostly be exited out through your stool. And some of it will be used as nutrients, but it won't be stored as fat. A lot of it is vitamin C and other minerals. So that's an example of why those calories won't affect the body the same, even though the amount of calories in both is the same. So the word calorie, although is not that helpful to determine how much fat you're gaining or losing, it is still a useful word that we can use to talk about food energy in general. It's a good colloquial term that we can talk about. But if you're really focused on losing fat, then it's not important on how much calories you're intaking, but on what type of food you're eating. What is the macronutrients? Glucose, carbs, sugar, fiber. That all matters more. So that's it, guys. I hope that was helpful to you guys. As always, please leave any questions or comments below and follow me on my WeChat account. See you next time. Something I gotta know.